This thing is gorgeous, and to celebrate 40 years of Rare, a company that gave us many timeless classics, 8BitDo decided to celebrate them with a beautiful, visually stunning product that I have in my hands. Now, this was sent by AKNES, an authorized reseller of 8BitDo products. Thank you very much, AKNES, for sending this for review. That has no impact on my opinions. No money changed hands, and they see the video at the same time as everybody else. A little bit of a mouthful. It's called the Ultimate 3-mode controller for Xbox. If you are familiar with the Ultimate line of products from 8BitDo, there is a lot in common with this. There's the dock, the controller. Inside the dock, you have the pairing dongle, and this is fully licensed and fully supportive of Xbox Series S and X and Xbox One consoles. One thing that did catch me off guard, it is also compatible for iPhones. Licensed controllers are not spoofed, and usually they're just not gonna work, but this one has a Bluetooth mode, and the Bluetooth mode absolutely works. Now, is it the main use case for this controller? We'll cover that in the review. This means that in some capacity they had to speak to Apple to get it through MFI. That's a pretty cool touch. As well, in the box you have an instruction manual. You also have extra stick caps. I would assume that this is probably representative of Sea of Thieves, and this is probably representative of Banjo-Kazooie. A cable, plastic, branded, and color matched, and as well, a Game Pass Ultimate code for a month free trial. Get ready, guys. And good luck. A little cheat sheet here as well. Shows us the different buttons. I like cheat sheets. Volume control, fast button swap, and how to calibrate your back paddles. Noise, phase buttons, membrane, quite springy, feels good. Very much the D-pad that we've seen in the Ultimate 2 and Pro 3. Tactile, it's actually quite silent. This one is metallic. You can immediately tell that it's a different material than the plastic that we have on the controller or rubber. It does seem to give it a little bit more tension to actuate. That's the D-pad that could convert me to tactile. It feels so hella good. Sticks, Hall effect. Triggers, also Hall effect. Bumpers are very audible, tactile. They do click from everywhere, and you'll hear them during the audio test. USB-C port up top, a pairing button. If you have a matching phone mount, it should be compatible with it. And if you're familiar with the Ultimate lines of product, this is very much the ergonomic style that you have here. A more boxy controller than your typical Xbox controller that are more trapezoid in shape. The handles are wings. Here, it's very much a rectangle with a notch cut at the bottom. To this day, it's not my favorite, but it's one that I believe many people are used to at this point. And so if you're familiar with that shape, that ergonomic, that's what we have here. We don't necessarily have exactly the same feel at the front. It's not soft, I wouldn't say. It's not rugged either. You can feel through the sheen that there's a little bit of a matte kind of eggshell finish. This is printed. You don't feel the texture of the 40 years or whatever you see that is printed. In the back, you have a slightly tight dotted pattern, both on the outer grip and inner. And here in the back feels a little more rugged than what you have at the front. Back buttons have pretty much the same feel as the front. You don't necessarily have any textures on your triggers and bumpers, but you do have etched keys. If you look through the gloss, it almost looks like they molded the black around a plastic letter. I wouldn't be surprised if they are different parts put together and finished with a glossy look. I don't think they're gonna fade over time. And then you have your rubber, your sticks have a little bit of dotted texture around them, but they're slightly convex, which is potentially different for the Xbox lines of product. It's my second time wiping those sticks. They seem to be very prone to dead skin. And so for that reason, and since they include them anyways, I'm gonna put those stick caps, which could potentially give you a little bit of height, but also they're slightly concave, which I prefer. And they also have texture on the edges. You do have metal rings around the sticks, and you have an anti-skid cap also around to match the yellow aesthetics, yellow and gold aesthetics of the controller. I actually like the feel of them. They're like this stiff kind of rubber. They're kind of on the softer side where you have the concave portion, very easy to glide. I potentially would like that they had a little more grip, but the edges stop your thumb from sliding over, and you do feel the little puzzle piece or the sculpt. There's a little bit of a sensory effect here for the people who like it, which I do. Contrary to most, to not say all 8BitDo products, you do not have gyro, as this is a Xbox licensed product and gyro is not part of their controller protocol. You do have rumble. rotary, much like a first-party controller, but you also have impulse rumble and your triggers, both left and right. 3.5mm jack, which will work on PC or on Xbox. I haven't tested on Android and iPhones. I will expect that this will not work on those devices, as with those devices, it's meant to be paired using the Bluetooth mode. And the Bluetooth mode, as we know, is not licensed by Microsoft, as in they're not letting you access their protocol through Bluetooth like the first-party controller. And so this is just not an option here, but it will be for your Xbox and PC as long as you are on the dongle or wired mode. You have a mic mute switch, a profile switch button, and each LED can represent different profiles, which we'll look into with the app. The dock has an LED status to let you know if it's charging, if it's fully charged. Oh, and last thing before we go to software, you can find this for $89.99 on Amazon US. It's also very important to note the app is not the same as the Ultimate V2 software. This is a specific version that you can find either on your Xbox or also on the Microsoft Store, the Ultimate X software. Up here, if we look real quick, there's the update. I am on the latest update 2.3.2, but we can verify just to be clear, and this is the latest version, so I don't need to update at the time being. Now, if we go to profile, you do have to create a profile to be able to make adjustments. I'll go ahead and do that. We can now click the buttons up top. So let's start with mapping. Every buttons on this controller can be remapped, or you can also use shortcuts for your back paddles as we saw earlier with the manual. But if you wanted to change your LB to right click, for example, you absolutely could do that. There's no turbo, no macro. That's very important to mention on these controllers. They are fully licensed, and so you won't find those types of features. You cannot remove the buttons, and just to check, just to be sure, they're not to be removed. Change the layout in software, you absolutely could. Sticks, and here you're going to be able to address your dead zone. With the dead zone now adjusted, you'll see that I can push the stick and have a dead zone that is extremely high. So this is up to you. You can address that in the app. You can invert your X axes for left and right, invert your Y axis for left and right stick. You can swap your sticks if you want to go southpaw. You can swap the D-pad and the left stick, and you can also disable dead zones altogether, which we're going to do since we're going to test these sticks. And then you can also recalibrate while in the app, but we just want to leave it as is. Do start calibrating. Triggers, we have the same thing, reduce the dead zone. Now, there are no hair triggers as you've seen with this controller, but if you wanted something that will be super quick to actuate your 100%, you could just create a curve like that, the minimum being 8, and this is how you would have something that is akin to a hair trigger. Let me show you. With just a little push, it immediately goes to 100%. Now, you'll notice that the nuance is still there. It's just super tight a range, but you know, technically it's not a proper 0 to 100, but it's just like. Now, I'm gonna put these back to normal since we're gonna be testing them. You can swap them. You can also calibrate them, which we will. You can address both the left motor, the right motor, the left trigger, and the right trigger all independently. You can disable the rumble completely or disable just the impulse trigger, and as you hold LT or RT, it's going to show you the matching motors. So when holding LT, I'm getting both of these motors vibrating, and when holding RT, I'm getting the other vibration here. And because I like to give my rumble motors the more nuances that they possibly can have, that's why I reduce it. That's actually something we don't see a whole lot of. You can really adjust not so much the intensity, which technically you could, but even like the degree. Personally, I like layer in my rumble, but if you wanted just like the smallest amount possible, you could just do that, and you could test it here. And quite frankly, I'm feeling no vibration here. There's like so little of it, but if I wanted to make it so that it's always at the maximum, you can also do that. So here I push barely and it goes all the way. Whereas if I give all the layers, I push a little, I feel it very faintly. The more I push, the more I feel it. And same goes for your grips as well. You can have that nuance. That's the way that I like it. You can adjust it the way that you see fit. That's a pretty cool touch that we have, like micro adjustments that we can do with our rumble. Once you're done, very important to make sure to click sync to device, because if you do not, everything that you've done is lost. And we go back to the controller. you have the ability to change your profiles with this button, and you also always have a default mode. So right now I only have one profile. Clicking it again puts me on default, and that will behave exactly like root level of the controller, and then you can cycle from up to 3 other profiles that you created preemptively to have something specific to games. I do like that here it's so easy, and you have that visual indicator letting you know at all times what profile you're on. And so let's move to the audio test. We don't have any stick tremor, no axis snapping whatsoever. There is stick snapback. Circle is not corrected, or at least not to 0%, but looking at the curves that we have here, it's somewhere in between, which is absolutely fine, something I like personally. No dead zone activated. Indeed, there is 0 dead zone. It can sense something as minute as just rubbing the cap just a little bit. So yes, you really have a true no dead zone mode on this controller. Gap dead zone, I'm also pretty sure that we don't have any of it. That's definitely, at least on the no 0 dead zone, you have none at all. Outer dead zone, you definitely have some. Is it a whole lot? No. Stick tension sits at pretty much 70, but I'd say somewhere between 70 and 75. And the step resolution sits at 0.0005. Diagonal focus. This D-pad feels heavy. Quite frankly, I didn't expect to be this good. But this feels nice. Rolling test. There's something about rubbing my finger against metal that is just so nice, as opposed to doing it over plastic. It's not the sharpest corners, it's not the softest either, but it just feels great. Adjacent directions, yes, possible. A little harder to do because this is obviously a heavier D-pad than your average. This is yes, it's possible, but it's not as easy. See here, I can easily do it up, but I can't do it down barely. Accidental inputs. Not impossible, but I would say probably due to how heavy that D-pad feels, it's not as prone. When going from left to right, on the other hand, that tension at the pivot seems to cause a higher likeliness of that happening, and we don't have any 4-way lock on this controller. Center pivot, we do have one. We can repress the controller. Probably one of the easier ones I felt to not hit keys, and here I am constantly hitting keys, but once you push it down all the way, it's so like stable. You may get an input on your way there, but once you're there, you don't, and then from there you can easily navigate it. So yeah, it's a thing with this controller for sure. That heavy D-pad creates probably one of the most satisfying center pivot action I've ever seen. It's yeah, it's something. For triggers, dead zone, it's there for sure. Let's say maybe a millimeter or two. Dead zone at the end, you have it as well, a little shorter than at the beginning, but it's there. Dampening, very mildly, barely. It's there. Like, I feel like there's got to be something, but it's so mild. And then hair trigger, of course, other than making some software corrections to achieve something that is sort of like a hair trigger, otherwise you just don't have that. And let's take it into games. $28,000. I'm gonna do something I don't usually do with controller reviews, is I'm only gonna stop to one test. I've said it in the beginning, this is not the ergonomic for me. It's never been. I can feel it. I'm gonna cramp, so it's gonna hinder the results. And I know one test is not a whole lot. Was struggling even within that minute. All things considered, 28,000 is actually a good score considering that I was fighting ergonomics in this specific scenario. I do much worse with bad sticks on controllers that I'd hold, 24 hours a day. So that goes to show that the sticks in here are good. It's just the grip for me is not doing it. So I'm gonna move to the next test. I can do it almost from the center. It's such that D-pad is so heavy. Oh my God, it feels so good. Like, it's not hard to actuate. I don't think it would cause fatigue, but man, it's helping log down the precision, I find. Anyways, here's my arbitrary tests. first test, this is a A++. This is probably top 5 D-pads I've tested in the last 2 years. Not gonna lie, I get asked often what are my favorite D-pads. This could make the list. So moving on to the next one. Oh my god, this is feeling so good, dude. I swear, the weight of that D-pad and the responsiveness, the feel, it's like it's tactile done greater than I ever felt. Genuinely, this is, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. The more I use this D-pad, the more I'm in love. Sorry, got wife aggroed, but yes, this D-pad is feeling absolutely phenomenal right now. I am happy to say that I am fully converted with this controller. Oh my gosh, it's amazing through and through. The weight, the responsiveness, the feel, the sound, everything about that D-pad is A1. I really gotta say this. If we were to get a controller like this with the layout flipped with that exact D-pad, I'm pretty sure that would be my #1 D-pad retro, D-pad centric retro controller. Oh my gosh, this D-pad was good through and through. It is chef's kiss. This is the highlight of this controller by far. That's a nice feeling trigger. Really, there's nothing wrong I can say about them. They probably don't feel as floaty as some other triggers I've tested in the past, but they do feel good. They feel modern. I feel like they feel responsive. I'm getting a good nuance. I'm able to lock it in. I don't believe also the tension is high to the point that it will cause fatigue. Well executed trigger as a whole. If you were to take this into Forza, I don't see why you'd be disappointed. And then the pièce of résistance, performance. Right off the bat, the Bluetooth is an afterthought. It's cool that it's there, but if you have paid attention on the segment where I was playing Destiny, I was feeling some jumps here and there. Latency didn't seem to be the great. There seemed to be a signal loss a little bit. I wouldn't recommend that you buy this controller if you are leaning on Bluetooth. But for cable and dongle, the polling rate is nice. You know, it is well within Microsoft standard. You have a decently acceptable stick latency. Button latency is a little bit better there, and I think that shows up when I played that D-pad. It was pretty clean. I guess what I'm trying to say when it comes to performance, it's not the controller that's going to raise the roof. It's also not going to break the house down. It's, you know, somewhere in between, absolutely acceptable. I'm okay with what is being presented here. And last but not least, you may have noticed from this performance that the Bluetooth mode is the input, to show you guys that even though it is the input, you're not getting the full suite of the input 8BitDo controllers that we've seen on the Pro 3, and I don't recall if it was the case with the Ultimate 2, but all that to say, it is not the case here, meaning that you won't get to be able to remap your back buttons, at least at the time being. This is something that could change over time, but just to show you guys, I'm going to do the setup here. And so with everything now calibrated, yes, it'll recognize the controller just fine. You'll be able to use it on the input on Steam, but you'll notice that the back buttons don't do anything. There's no value that comes up. You also don't have the ability to rumble. While you will be able to use it through the input, I want to make sure that you don't expect the full suite that we've seen from some other 8BitDo controllers. All right, let's move towards the conclusion. I've been hooked with this game and I want to play, so let's knock 2 birds with 1 stone, right? Now, we didn't talk battery. There's a 1000 milliamp hour battery. I don't usually test batteries, and I have not done it either this time around. According to 8BitDo's documentation, this will give you up to 20 hours on a 4-hour charge time. I believe that should be fine. Most people should be happy with. Now, at $89.99, not gonna lie, it is a little bit of a hard sell. And the reason being that there is competition, and one of them that is undeniable is the G7 Pro. And the G7 Pro is an absolute beast, and it does a lot of things that a lot of people have been waiting for in the space that this controller doesn't do. And so then I'm here leaning on, okay, why would you go with this controller? And one of the reasons is definitely the D-pad. I think the D-pad absolutely shines. The other thing is, it is phenomenally beautiful. It is a gorgeous product That goes without saying. This can't be denied. It's just so good looking. So maybe this is something you also want. Another great reason would be if you collect these controllers. And look, I'm not saying that this is going to be everyone's way to approach this, but it's definitely one for collectors. It just looks the part. It looks beautiful. 8BitDo could have potentially hit a lower price point. Then again, we don't know necessarily what kind of licensing deal Microsoft gives them. And I would assume that, you know, having wireless and all that kind of stuff does come with a cost. But I'm here to say it, when it comes to value proposition, this is not currently the best controller that just released for an Xbox specific Pro style option. In fact, I would not qualify this as a Pro style option. I feel like this is more to be in line with the first party. Of course, there's Hall effects, so the chance of your sticks drifting is unlikely, but it is also a different ergonomic style, something to keep in mind if you're not used to the ergonomics of the Ultimate. As a whole, in my opinion, I think this is more of a collector controller than it is someone that would buy this because they're trying to replace their drifting first party option. That's, I guess, what I'm trying to get to is I love it. Do I think it is justified to pay $89.99 for a metal D-pad? I don't think so, but that's also another reason why some people may just think, look, I don't care the price, I want a kick-ass D-pad, and if that's what you do, oh, that's what you'll get. This one is an absolute beast, and I would love to see a symmetrical, exactly same module, exactly same buttons, exactly same D-pad under, you know, metallic and all. So hopefully 8BitDo will consider that in the future. But until then, the 8BitDo Ultimate 3-mode controller for Xbox is one that is beautiful. Ergonomics, that'll depend on you. As far as everything else, it's well executed. It's a quality product. That goes without saying. It's 100% a quality product. But here's what I'm very curious to know your thoughts. What do you think? Are you picking one up? Do you have one? Do you feel like this was a fair assessment? Let me know your thoughts as always in the comments. Consider hitting a like if you enjoyed this piece of content and to subscribe to not miss any future ones. Thank you very much to AKNES for sending this for review. My name is Clef and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.